There are currently over 2 million podcasts on the internet with a staggering 48 million episodes available to listen. But not all podcasts do their job. I'm João-Max Lima, editor of the Tech Capital, and joining me today is Aaron Shenoy, VP of Sales and Marketing at Serverfarm, to talk podcasts and how the company has been using this platform to innovate in its market education messaging. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me. First of all, congratulations on reaching 500 downloads of the Future of Data Centers podcast. Why don't you start by telling us why Serverfarm decided to create this podcast series?
Firstly, we are thrilled that we've reached 500, even though that is an incredibly small number in the overall number. And I guess our customers and partners want information and ways to engage with us that are very different to 2 years ago. Relationships, as we know, are increasingly virtual. So we've put a lot of effort into working on podcasts, in addition to blogs and white papers and social media, really with a focus to engage our ecosystem more effectively. And I guess we're working on the basis that an audio-only version of us travels a little bit better. It's a little bit more portable. So just part of broadening our engagement with our customers.
Yep, I completely agree. And I think an interesting aspect of the podcast, it's the younger audience that you managed to get to versus writing, for example.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so much more accessible. And I think that the point, very few of us are actually traveling. So I think the concept of the sort of content being a little bit more portable, I'm not suggesting that people listen to us as part of their sort of bedtime story, but that's maybe one place where they might listen to us.
That sounds good. And but Aaron, your first podcast, your second mini series, focused on the data center management as a service, so DMaaS. And you guys launched the mini series on the International Podcast Day on September the 30th. Even though I was there sharing the podcast with you, but can you give us some details of what the 3 episodes in this series covered?
Sure. So we've always thought about Serverfarm as a company that exists really because our customers need data centers but don't want them. And so data center management as a service, in addition to our real estate services, our data center design services, our co-location services, have been, especially in the last 5 years, a very, very strong but natural extension to those services. Because, I guess the problem that we're solving for our customers is as all of our worlds become increasingly, more virtual, not everything can sit, in a public cloud. Some of it is still either on-premise because it's legacy, or it's on-premise because it's part of a private cloud. But the key thing is that we're here to help our customers manage everything physical in that virtual world, and data center management as a service is really our way of creating that value, those efficiencies, those increased reliability capabilities for our customers.
Definitely, it's been interesting to also see how Serverfarm kind of differentiates itself with these extra offerings within its portfolio. But we are talking about DMaaS, but I guess the majority of the industry will have heard of DCIM, so data center infrastructure management. And I guess these two sometimes do get a little bit confused in terms of definitions and what each other does. I know we took a deep dive during the second episode, but can you give our listeners a few key takeaways from the conversation we had?
Sure. And I think the easiest way that I would distinguish the two, so data center management as a service is really an infrastructure management capability. It's a fully managed service, whereas DCIM is, a tool. It's part of that, but it's ultimately, a tool and only a part of the outcome. And, we've often thought about, how we have that conversation with our customers. And something that has really resonated well in the last year or two is the analogy of Microsoft Excel. In the same way that Microsoft Excel doesn't make someone a great accountant, we and our customers are utterly convinced that DCIM doesn't make someone a great data center operator. It's a part of it. So we've developed our own in-house capability, our own in-house DCIM platform called InCommand. But really what we're doing for our customers is to use that platform, use that technology platform but also provide people, resources, everything from service desk to on-site resources, but also help customers refactor, redesign, make more efficient their processes and procedures. Because if I go back to something I said earlier, without exception, our customers need data centers. That is absolutely clear, but they really don't want them. And certainly for all of our in-command customers, that distinction is really clear. They have to have infrastructure, but they don't want to be in the business of operating. And that's where data center management as a service comes in.
Which makes sense. I mean, take the headache away from managing infrastructure and let them actually create a new world, new businesses, new applications, and just drive innovation through.
Absolutely, yeah.
And but then, Aram, looking at the first mini-series, so the first series focused solely on the critical and controversial topic of data center sustainability. But with this being at the forefront of what Serverfarm and enterprises globally are focused now, what can listeners expect from the DMaaS series as it relates to sustainability?
That's a really good point, and it's very timely, obviously, with with being right in the midst of COP26. And we talked about sustainability specifically as it relates to buildings and building infrastructure, in the first mini-series. But we also know that, simply reusing an existing building or refactoring an existing building or refreshing infrastructure in an existing building is a strong solution, but it's not the only part of the solution. We also have to fix for our customers, how IT is deployed, how IT is managed, how IT is operated. And the easiest way I would describe it, Zhao, is that our customers, our in-command customers, use less. They use less space, they use less power, they use less cooling, less network, less hardware, less software. And actually, when it really comes down to it, that just means less carbon. And frankly, that's why we exist. We make people more efficient, we make people more reliable, but ultimately we make them use less.
And every little helps.
And by the way, some of these things aren't little. Some of these things are huge. We can help people remove 20 or 30 or maybe even 50% of their sort of infrastructure overhead simply by managing it much more effectively.
Which is so needed at the moment.
Yes.
And especially as you mentioned, COP26, which maybe hasn't gone according to expectations of everyone.
Indeed.
But Aram, so we've had sustainability, then we had DMaaS. What's next for the Future of Data Centers podcast in terms of topics? What are we going to be talking about next time?
Well, now this is where it gets really interesting for us. So the short version of the answer is we don't know.
Okay.
So part of the podcast and part of engaging our audience is, getting something back from them. The whole concept of the podcast, certainly from our perspective, is to really create a one-to-many conversation, because rather than go have the same conversation maybe 100 times with customers, if we can engage our customers much more effectively and come and get back from them, their thoughts, their feedback, we really want those things to sort of help us, just help educate us. What's important to them? What should we talk about? What conversations are important to them? And where can we provide some insight and value?
Okay. Well, I'll suggest to our listeners, if they want to drop a message or just leave a comment in one of our social channels with a topic, and then we'll see where we can go with it.
Absolutely. We'd love to. I mean, I guess the point, Zhao, is, we really want this to be a conversation. This isn't much as I may have a slightly old-fashioned way of speaking, we're not here to be the broadcaster of the BBC World News. This really has to be dialogue as much as we can.
Yeah, it's getting people sitting at the table to actually talk how to do and do it.
Yeah.
Afterwards, and I certainly don't have the BBC voice, so you got a much better podcast voice than I do. But Aram, if there's any doubts left, what makes the Future of Data Centers podcast so unique and timely as well? And I mentioned there's a pool of about over 2 million podcasts worldwide. Of course, a very small fraction will be data center podcasts, but still, there's a lot of content out there. What makes the Serverfarm podcast so unique?
Well, we're going to work really hard to try and stand out, as you say, in a very, very crowded space. We're really focused on being better. better for the environment, better for our customers, better for ourselves and our shareholders. And we're innovating every single day by asking the question, why? Why build that way? Why operate that way? Why resource that way? And that leads us to find technology solutions that help us to do very simple things like augment and automate manual processes. We're also quite unusual in the data center space because we really want our customers to use the smallest amount of space and power and cooling and network and hardware, which, is, as I said, it's very, very unusual for this industry, but it's incredibly important to us. And I think it's incredibly important to our customers and, the wider market. For us, less is a lot more. And that is really important to us. But you know what? It's really important to everyone that comes after us. If we can do our bit to help, right size our customers so they're using just the right amount of space, just the right amount of power, we can remove so much inefficiency from the market, by helping customers en masse, right, operate and manage and control infrastructure, much more effectively. And if that means in a year from now we've avoided 5 new buildings being built, a whole bunch of additional infrastructure being deployed, more hardware being bought, simply by making our customers more efficient, well, that's a wonderful present for us to leave, to those that come after us.
Okay. I was going to ask you as a final question, how you would describe maybe what you expect 2022 to be in a few words, but I really like your less is a lot more expression. I don't know if that's what you would use for 2022, but
I would. Yeah. I would say that we're going to be bigger and smaller all at the same time.
This is a lot more building bigger and smaller at the same time. I love that. Aram Shenoy, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Serverfarm. Thank you for talking to me. As for you at home, thank you for listening, and do check our website and give us a follow on social media for more breaking news and timely views from across the digital infrastructure sector worldwide. At Tech Capital, you lead, we report. Bye for now.